What's that word you use?
Spoilers.
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 Spoilers. Spoilers. Spoilers.
I like that word.
I thought you might.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Review Who, and today we'll be taking another trip back into history with the Romans. Following directly on from the rescue, compared to said previous story, the Romans does fall a little short, but by no means does that make it a bad story. It comes across as a mix of purely historical, drama and comedic, but the comedy of this story is mainly what dominates it. This in itself is what makes it feel a little bit short, but also a good story, both for the same reasons, because it's not the normal Doctor Who story you would expect to see. The story itself remains largely unchanged compared to other historical stories. The crew find themselves in a historical setting, get separated, and have to fight to be together again. But as with other similar stories, they have several subplots within the narrative for each member of the crew. Ian is captured as a slave and forced to fight in the arena. Barbara is also captured as a slave and has to resist the advances of Nero and the scorn of his wife Poppaea. And the Doctor and Vicky also find themselves in Rome at the pleasure of Nero, although his jealousy towards the Doctor's popularity also leads to conflict between them. For the first, but probably not the last time in doing these reviews, I actually find myself unable to find a good moment for an example in this story. Not because there aren't any, quite the opposite in fact. There are too many. So what I will say is I certainly think this is a story that has moments to suit every audience member. Whether drama, comedy, history or sci-fi, there are definitely moments in this story for everyone. At 4 parts, and with the previously mentioned various subplots, the pacing of this story stands up very well. With the switching between the different subplots, it means that there is always something being progressed story-wise. And the rather bleak nature of Ian's story as a slave is well offset by the comedy of the other 2 subplots. This is most likely why the comedy of this story is the overriding factor, with 2 of the main 3 subplots taking a mainly comedic overtone. Although some great dramatic moments still exist, such as the Empress planning to assassinate Barbara.
Get the attendant to serve these drinks to Caesar Nero when he is with your new slave.
Correct. And she is to have the special one.
And the Doctor himself facing not just assassins but also the wrath of Nero.
I'll have you both killed over and over again! Guards! Guards! Fool! Idiot! Traitor!
However, for all of its well-acted moments, one of the ones that does stand out for me is a comedic one, and another great example of the Doctor's cunning wit. It is often said of actors, when in doubt of what to do, don't act, and let the audience's imagination do your acting for you. And in this instance, when the Doctor has to play the lyre, but of course he can't, he simply pretends to play it and lets the audience hear their own music.
He's all right, but he's not all that good.
We are also treated to another great little bit of history, courtesy of this moment. The Doctor claims his plan was inspired by the tale of the Emperor's new clothes, which he claims he gave to Hans Christian Andersen himself.
It's the old fairy story, child. The Emperor's new clothes, yes. I gave it as an idea to Hans Andersen.
Along with the burning of Rome, this little moment gives us an insight that the Doctor may have had a larger impact on Earth history than we had previously been aware of. This is actually a story without that much amount of trivia, at least nothing major. However, for this review, and in keeping with the comedic tone of the story, I thought I would go for one of the funnier little pieces of trivia. At the beginning of episode 2, the Doctor mentions having taught the Mountain Mauler of Montana to fight.
Do you know it was I that used to teach the Mountain Mauler of Montana?
What?
Do you remember? Have you never heard?
This was actually an ad-lib by William Hartnell, and Maureen O'Brien's sudden exclamation and subsequent laughter is all completely real. Hartnell was well known for misspeaking or making mistakes in his lines from time to time, an action which allegedly greatly agitated the actor. However, it's nice to see that for all of his serious and his supposed no-nonsense attitude off camera, it's moments like this that show he had a much softer side and could still have just as much fun on set as anyone else. If you're looking for a great dramatic story, then the Romans definitely isn't it. But if you're looking for some light-hearted entertainment that can be enjoyed on many levels by many different people, then you can't really do any better than the Romans. It's not a particularly relevant story, or perhaps one of the most highly rated, but I promise you, once you watch it, you will be left thinking that perhaps it should be. And that brings to a close another review who, as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, favourite, subscribe, share, it really helps me out a lot, and be sure to check out the description below for a link to my Patreon. There is an exclusive webcomic and rewards for people who support it, and the funding generated by my Patreon helps me fund future videos. I salute you all, and I will see you with another video very soon.